French presidential hopeful Marine Le Pen is convinced there won't be any protests in her country if she wins April's election. She was, of course, referring to the violent unrest following the election of Donald Trump in the US. Charlotte Dubensky watched Le Pen's first presidential campaign speech.
Marine Le Pen's first speech as a presidential candidate mainly focused on domestic policy in France, looking at ways that she would want her party to boost industry and agriculture, an idea of making France a less dependent country, perhaps France first, which echoes the sentiments we've been hearing from Donald Trump as he's become the 45th president of the United States across the pond, and his idea of America first. Now, just a few years ago, the idea of Marine Le Pen possibly becoming France's next president was unheard of. People would have scoffed at it. But now she is riding high in the popularity stakes. If you look at the latest polls, she's even been able to beat the Republicans' candidate François Fillon into second place. If those polls are accurate, and if people went to the polls right now, it would mean that she would get into the second round of France's presidential face-off that takes place in May of this year. Now, if she wins that election, that would potentially politically rock not just here in France, but also across Europe. As Marine Le Pen has said time and time again, she wants France to leave the European Union and she wants to leave the euro. I asked her, if she takes office, if she becomes president and that potential victory takes place, will we see the wide protests here in France as have been seen in the United States since the election of Donald Trump? After Trump was elected, we saw massive protests. Do you expect similar protests in France if you're elected?
France is a democratic country. When elections are over, we respect the results.
Marine Le Pen hopes that momentum can continue gaining traction here in France, and that 2017 will be her year and the year that she becomes the French president.
In fact, Le Pen's already been introduced as the new president of France. It happened at a meeting in Germany last week where she reiterated her ideas of big changes ahead.
The first blow to Europe was Brexit, when sovereign people decided their destiny on their own. The second blow came shortly after that. It was the election of Donald Trump to the presidency of the United States. A big change is coming soon, as the European Union has become some kind of religion where no criticism or alternative is allowed.
Nowadays, I mean, we've seen last year that anything can happen. Nobody saw the Brexit win. Nobody saw Trump win. I mean, at least in mainstream media, in a lot of European countries, people are globally rejecting mainstream politicians all across Europe. We've got parties would say anti-EU. Maybe they're not anti-European, but anti-European Union. So there is a wave of I would say, probably new politicians based on patriotism.
At the same meeting, she expressed concern about the influx of migrants, but said that people who abide by the laws and the Constitution and French values are welcome to stay, although that stance didn't help during a recent visit to a refugee camp. She arrived at the facility in Dunkirk in northern France, surrounded by journalists. However, the local authorities and the charity running the camp refused to let her in. The local mayor later explained that Le Pen had been kept out because, quote, humanity is a value that she ignores.
So it's a team, isn't it? Last time we heard Donald Trump being a horrible person and having no humanity. The only good thing they did was good for us, which was to help Donald Trump win. Are they gonna do the same thing here with Marine Le Pen? Not letting her into a refugee center because she supposedly doesn't care about human rights? Such a PR stance to take when a Marine Le Pen type of figure tries to come. Also, isn't there a big need of help? Don't you need PR in those refugee centers? Are you not kinda being petty about this? There are more important stuff for the refugees, right, than your political allegiances. Also, who defines who decides what Marine Le Pen thinks? It's not you. You can say she doesn't support human rights just because she's politically different than you, just because she has a different methods of running a country. But anyways, this is just a small video. I'm showing you that yes, Marine Le Pen has a very possible chance of winning. Don't believe all the news outlets that basically are doing the same thing they were doing against Donald Trump, which is to lie and pretend like there's no possible chance Marine Le Pen could become a president, and they did that with Trump also. They said he could not become a president even a couple of days before it was announced that he is going to be the next president. So it's basically the same thing, except here in Europe. And it's kind of a sad thing. You would think you would think they would learn their lesson. You would think they would instead try to just debate it out. But you know, if your position is false, if it doesn't make sense, then it's pretty much impossible to debate anyone with it. So instead, let's just attack with ad hominems and unfounded accusations like Marine Le Pen doesn't support human rights. I can't wait until Marine Le Pen becomes the president of France too. So even the people here, even the few social justice warriors we have here, are gonna just shoot themselves or something like that. And they're just gonna have a big reality check. I hope everyone realizes why I had to use RT to prove Marine Le Pen's success. I hope no one thinks that I'm favoring RT as some credible source. I think the entire mainstream media are corrupted and are liars in their own respective issues. Depending on the issue, they are liars. RT lies as much as Fox, but when it comes to Marine Le Pen or different subjects, they are pretty much the only one telling us. I mean, I wanted to make a video telling people about Marine Le Pen pretty much becoming more successful and becoming more likely to be the next president. And the only outlet I could find that would even talk about it was RT. I mean, there were other outlets, but they said they pretty much presented it as if Marine Le Pen's recent success, are just a passing by team, that it will eventually be someone else, just like they did with Donald Trump. So this is why I had to use RT. I'm not some fan of Russia. I mean, I like Russia as much as I like any country, but I'm not a fan of their communist history. In fact, I hate communism almost more than anything else I have come across. Marxism, communism, all of that I just don't like. But you have to give them credit. You have to give RT their credit for being willing to talk about stuff like this with Marine Le Pen. But other than that, yes, mainstream media, I just don't trust it by default. Let me give you an example. Someone I know came to me a few days ago and said, hey, almost like a gotcha moment. My friend came and said, hey, did you see Donald Trump wants to ban every Muslim from coming to America? And that was supposed to be like a very gotcha moment, and you see, I was right, he's bad. And the first question I of course asked was, what outlet told you that? And his reaction was, oh, so you're gonna say if it's a outlet you don't like, the news is not credible? And then I answered, no, of course, I can believe that Donald Trump would say that, but before I hear it from a credible source, from an outlet that I at least have trust, I'm not gonna accept it. Because I mean, this friend of mine has Russian relations. And I told him, did you know that all the outlets you just listed me that told that Trump wanted to ban Muslims, all those same outlets said that Russia hacked into the election and made Donald Trump a president. And when he realized that, that gives you a little perspective about the credibility of the sources you got, or he got. But anyways, small video, small review about Marine Le Pen's recent success. I've been watching Marine Le Pen talk rationally about what we should do in politics. For example, in Libya. Why don't you go check her opinions about Libya and her opinions about Mali? She said no to Libya because she knew there was no reason to attack Libya. But then again, with Mali, she supported Mali because she knew there was a reason to help Mali. The point I'm trying to say is she hasn't just last year started to make sense. She has made sense at least from 2012, and I'm glad she's becoming much more mainstream.